Tonight, let's forget the safety of your modern bed and drift back to the salty, sun-bleached world of the Middle Ages. But not the world of nobles and castles. No, tonight you wake up as a pirate. Before we set sail, I'll just quietly remind you, if you enjoy drifting through the strange corners of history with me, you know where the like and subscribe are. No pressure. And do share where you're listening from. What time is it on your side of the ocean? Now, close your eyes. Let your room grow dim. Let the gentle hum of your world fade into the hush of lapping waves and distant gulls. Are you ready? Because your morning starts with chaos. You're yanked out of an uneasy sleep by the piercing squawk of gulls, their calls cutting straight through the slats of the creaking wooden walls around you. The scent hits you before your eyes even open. Briny fish, sour sweat, old wood soaked by weeks of sea spray. You lie cramped on a mattress that feels more like a sponge, sticky with salt and humidity. The only blanket is a scratchy wool square, so damp it sticks to your skin. For a moment, you try to savor that half-awake fog, hoping to trick your mind into thinking you're still safe somewhere on land. But reality arrives with the sharp thud of heavy boots above and the unmistakable bellow of the captain. He's awake and not in the best mood. You swing your legs off the bunk, nearly bumping your head on the low beams. As your feet touch the planks, the chill of the wood sends a shiver up your spine. The floor sways beneath you, gentle but constant, an unceasing reminder that dry land is days away. You can hear the mutterings of the crew on the other side of the thin bulkhead. Someone cursing the rats, another complaining about the endless damp. There's the rhythmic slap of a mop, someone scrubbing away last night's mess, and then the sudden crash of a barrel being knocked over. You tense. Everyone knows spilled supplies mean trouble. Your clothes from yesterday are still on the floor, clammy with last night's sweat and sea mist. You pull on your linen shirt, rough, patched and permanently stained from a dozen storms, and tug at your trousers, which stick to your legs after so many days without a wash. Your feet find their way into your boots, still wet from yesterday's rain. The air tastes like stale bread and salt, and you quickly wish you could hold your breath. There's a bucket in the corner, sloshing gently with what passes for drinking water. Cloudy, tepid, but precious. You fumble for your belt, tightening it, as you try to remember what the captain shouted yesterday about discipline. You don't want to be the one who's late to the deck. Last time someone missed the morning roll call. They spent the next 2 hours scraping barnacles with a knife duller than a butter spreader. You reach for your cap, if you're lucky enough to still have one, and try to flatten your hair, greasy and tangled from days without fresh water. Outside, the noise grows. You hear someone shout your name, rough, urgent, but not unfriendly. It's the boy they call Little Rat, younger than you, but already tougher. He's always up before dawn, somehow eager for the day's misery. You nod to yourself, steeling your nerves. There's no time for fear, not with the captain's voice rising again, slicing through the morning haze. The ship rocks as you stumble out of the cabin, squinting against the early sun, peeking through a shroud of grey clouds. The sea stretches in all directions, endless blue, flecked with whitecaps, the horizon blurred with mist. You feel the wind on your face, sharp, cold, carrying the scent of salt and distant storms. The deck under your feet is slick from the night's rain, and you're careful with every step. You're met with a chorus of voices, shouts, curses, the slap of ropes against the mast. The first mate, a hulking figure with a beard like tangled rope, gestures for you to hurry. You know what's coming. Work, and plenty of it. You steal a glance at the captain, his gaze sharp, his coat darker than the clouds. If he sees you slacking, it's extra duties for you, maybe even a lost share of tonight's bread. But you can't help but wonder, what's waiting for you on deck this morning? What new trouble, what strange discovery, what small comfort, if any, will the day bring? The deck creaks under your boots as you step into the pale morning light. The sea stretches like a silver sheet all the way to the edge of your vision. And above, a gull dives low. It screams sharp enough to slice the salt-heavy air. You rub your arms against the chill. The wind hasn't warmed yet, and your shirt clings damply to your skin. As your eyes adjust, you spot the morning scene unfolding, disorder, shouting, and the unmistakable smell of something burned. You follow the scent toward a makeshift table lashed to the mast, where a large iron pot hangs over a low fire, its contents bubbling ominously. The cook, a squat man with a face like sun-baked leather, stirs it with a stick so stained it could be used for writing confessions. A few others hover nearby, bowls in hand, eyes wary. There's no line, only elbows, glares, and the low growl of hunger. You shuffle closer and inhale. Salted fish and something else. Is that cabbage? Hard to tell. The smell is thick and sour, with an oily slick that clings to your throat. You take your bowl, rough-hewn and scorched along the edge, and hold it out. A ladleful of grey mush lands with a slap. It smells edible, barely. You find a spot near the railing and settle in, the bowl warm against your palms. The mixture inside wobbles slightly. A piece of dry bread lies beside it, hard enough to chip teeth. You dunk it into the stew to soften it. Steam rises. Your first real warmth today. You chew carefully. The texture is challenging. The taste, mostly salt, with a hint of something smoky and fishy and inexplicably sweet. Maybe last night's rum found its way in. Around you, the crew eats in silence. No one talks during breakfast. It's not tradition, it's survival. Every mouthful is precious, and every second of peace before the workday begins is gold. You watch as someone near the water barrel pours a mug, then another shoves in behind him, snapping. That's the last of it for now. The mug tips, water spills, tension spikes. You rise, bowl in hand, and approach cautiously. The barrel stands on unsteady legs, half empty, with his lid hanging askew. The water inside is cloudy, with bits of something floating near the bottom. Sawdust? Mold? You try not to think about it. You reach for a cup just as two voices collide, sharp, fast, angry. Back off, one growls. You had yours yesterday. You stole my ration worm, the other spits, swinging his arm in a wide arc. A tin mug flies, clatters to the deck. Water splashes over the wood and vanishes between the boards. The cook bellows something from behind, but the two men don't stop. A crowd forms fast. There's no time for explanations, only fists. One man lunges, the other stumbles. Elbows catch ribs, knees hit shins. You take a step back, then freeze. A third man, taller, leans in and grabs both by their collars. Enough, he snarls, voice gravel thick. You fight over scraps again, and it'll be the barrel for you both, chained. The tension snaps like rope. The fighters pull apart, chest heaving, eyes wild. One spits on the deck, then stalks off. The other mutters under his breath and disappears down the hatch. The taller man looks at you, nods once. You nod back. It's not approval, it's warning. You finally dip your cup into the barrel. The water is lukewarm, almost metallic. Still, you drink. The salt from breakfast clings to your throat, and this is the only relief. It tastes like old wood, like rope, like someone else's breath. but it's better than nothing. With your bowl empty, you rinse it in a bucket filled with cloudy seawater, the kind used for everything from laundry to wounds. As you scrub with a scrap of rough cloth, you feel the calluses on your fingers, hard-earned. Every knuckle aches. Your back, too, already protests from yesterday's work. There's a rhythm to this chaos, a kind of order in the mess. After food, it's time to check the rigging, inspect the sails, clean the deck. But before any of that, there's the muster. A shout from the quarterdeck. All hands, get to your stations. You glance back once at the pot, now empty, scraped clean by the last few unlucky hands. The fire beneath it smoulders lazily. No more food until dusk, and that's only if the day goes well. As you move towards your post, the wind shifts. A new smell rides the breeze, sour, musky, unfamiliar. You stop. Someone else sniffs too. The men around you begin murmuring. That's not your ship's scent. That's something foreign. You scan the horizon. Nothing but water and sky. But your gut tightens. You know this feeling. It's the quiet before something changes. Could it be a sail? A ship? Or something worse? What will the wind bring next? It's the wet slosh of the bucket at your side that keeps time as you work. Scrub, rinse, scrape, breathe. The bristles in your hand are stiff and frayed, rough enough to peel your knuckles raw. You're bent at the waist, arms moving in wide practiced arcs as you attack the dark streaks across the deck. Last night's storm carved muddy footprints across the planks, smeared with seaweed and something else you'd rather not name. The rain may have passed, but its mess lingers like a hangover. The boards beneath you are still damp, slick in places where the sun hasn't yet touched. You shift your weight carefully, trying not to slip. Each stroke of the brush sends up a sharp scent. Salt, rot, mildew. Your nose wrinkles. Somewhere nearby, something dead lingers just out of sight. Maybe a fish wedged in the railing. Or maybe it's just the ship herself, soaked to her ribs and beginning to sour. Behind you, boots stomp across the deck, steady and loud. You don't turn. You already know it's them, the ones who've been here longer, louder, and lean on intimidation like it's another tool in their belts. You hear the laughter first, then a voice calls out, "Oi, scrub faster, landworm. That deck ain't gonna clean itself with your lazy arms." You keep your eyes down. It's not worth answering. But the brush falters in your hand, just for a second. A second's enough. Another voice, higher, meaner. "What's wrong? Sol got in your ears?" Maybe he thinks he's captain now, eh? The footsteps circle behind you. You don't look up. The sky is a flat stretch of grey, but you feel the pressure of their stares like weights on your shoulders. Maybe we ought to help him, boys. Teach him how to scrub proper. Your grip tightens. The brush presses harder. You scrub the same plank 3 times over, trying not to react, not to rise. That's what they want. An excuse. Then something thuds beside you. A mop. Dirty, matted, its handle splintered. Thrown, not dropped. A dare. Use that, the first voice snickers. Might suit a proper sailor. You glance up just briefly. 3 of them stand nearby, leaning against the rigging, arms crossed, eyes sharp. They're not just waiting for fun. They're waiting for weakness. Your jaw sets. You keep scrubbing. Minutes stretch. The sound of water slapping wood fills your ears. The scrape of your brush. The creak of sails above. Someone hawks and spits near your boots. You ignore it. And then, it happens. A sharp clink. A splash. A silence. You freeze, mid-scrub. One of them, the tall one with the coin pouch, tied too loose at his belt, jerks forward. His hand slaps his side, eyes wide. He leans over the railing, staring into the water below. Gone. The crew nearby turns, head swiveling. Conversations die mid-word. You rise slowly, your hands still damp, knuckles white around the brush. You don't need to ask. You heard it. Something valuable just slipped into the deep. A pendant, a ring, gold. It doesn't matter what, only that it's gone, and someone must be to blame. The tall one rounds on you. You, he snaps. You were closest. Did you see it? Did you take it? Your heart thuds once, hard. You open your mouth, but the words won't come fast enough. The others begin to close in. Voices rise. He was kneeling there. Could have snatched it. No one else nearby. Accusation spreads like fire across dry rope. You take a step back. The sky feels lower now, the air thicker. The ship groans beneath you as the tide shifts. Someone steps in your path. Another raises a hand, finger pointed straight at your chest. Well, what did you do with it? Do you defend yourself, deny it, run, or say nothing, and let the crew decide? Because on a ship like this, guilt isn't about truth. It's about timing. What will you say before someone else speaks for you? You don't answer right away. You don't have to. On a ship like this, silence is safer than speech. And besides, no one trusts a man who talks too fast. Especially not here, not among pirates. The moment passes. Eyes move on. The accusation fades like morning mist. But it lingers, just under your skin, like a splinter you can't dig out. You step back from the railing, past where the splash echoed. The crew scatters, grumbling, pretending not to care. But the lesson is clear. One slip, and the sea will swallow more than coins. You fall into rhythm with the others, each of you part of a strange ballet. Ropes passed, sails checked, barrels shifted, knots tightened. You move together, even if you don't move as one. Pirates aren't built for harmony, but they know how to survive. You begin to notice things. A man with a scar like a second mouth never eats without his knife in hand. Another never sits with his back to the rail. The youngest one, barely more than a boy, sleeps clutching a sliver of wood with carved initials, lips moving in silent prayer. These men, your crew, are a patchwork of pasts. Some are runaway sailors, others escaped debtors. One used to be a priest, or so he says. Another claims to have slit the throat of a governor's son. No one asked why. No one asked if it was true. The code keeps you together, not the law of kings and empires. The pirate code, rules spoken over campfires, written in stained ledgers, carved into memory. If you steal from your own, you lose an ear. If you desert in battle, you're left behind. If you kill without cause, the crew decides your fate. There's fairness here of a kind. The shares are split according to role. Captain, quartermaster, gunner, carpenter. Even you, new as you are promised a cut. A small one, but more than any land-bound labourer might see in a year. That's what keeps them loyal. Not kindness, not friendship, math. But friendship, it does happen, quietly, cautiously. A shared drink, a saved portion of bread, a warning whispered before the captain grows suspicious. You remember the first time you saw someone punished. Not lashed, worse. He'd hidden silver coins in his boots, hoping to cheat the share. When they found out, they tied a stone to his chest and dropped him overboard. No words, no prayer. Just the splash and the silence that followed. You wonder if they'd do the same to you, if you made the wrong joke, if you hesitated at the wrong time, if you asked the wrong question. Someone lights a pipe near you. The scent of tobacco floats in the air, sharp, spicy, wrapped in the slow curl of smoke. You watch the smoke twist up toward the rigging, where a few sailors sit with legs dangling like children on a fence. They speak in low voices. laugh even. But you can't hear the joke. The ship rocks gently. The sun has climbed higher now, warming the deck under your bare hands. You close your eyes for just a breath, listening to the creak of the sails and the soft hush of the waves. For a moment, it almost feels peaceful, but nothing stays peaceful here for long. Someone calls your name. You look up. The quartermaster stands across the deck, arms crossed, his face unreadable. He nods once. You cross to him. "We'll be nearing port soon," he says. "A day, maybe two. There's talk. Men wanting to take a cut early. Others thinking we should press farther north, try for richer ships." You wait. His eyes narrow. "There's division. You know what that means?" You nod. You do. Mutiny. Not yet, but close enough to taste. You glance around again. The man with the knife is watching the priest. The boy with the carved wood is whispering to someone new. And the captain, nowhere to be seen. The quartermaster leans close. You can smell the salt in his beard, the rum on his breath. "Keep your ears open," he says, "and your back covered." He walks off, leaving you alone with the knowledge. The deck sways, the smoke rises, the code binds them. But how tightly? And if the wind shifts, who among them can you truly trust? Do you know yet which voices on this ship are worth listening to, and which might lead you overboard? You've started to look over your shoulder more than you used to. Not just because of the sea, or the wind, or the groaning planks that speak in low tones during the night. No, it's the eyes that bother you now. Watching, measuring, choosing sides maybe. There's a shift in the way the crew moves. The quiet ones are quieter. The loud ones shout a bit too much. And when someone drops a tool or laughs too long, the silence that follows is heavier than the sound ever was. It presses on your chest like the humidity before a storm. You coil rope along the port side, hands working fast and without thought. Your fingers know the rhythm, but your mind is elsewhere. That conversation you overheard last night, whispered near the lantern, too faint to catch words, but too intense to forget. The glint of a blade as someone passed behind you in the dark, the way the quartermaster didn't quite meet your eyes this morning. Even the seagulls are quiet today. The captain hasn't shown himself since yesterday's orders. That's unusual. He's a man who believes in visibility. His boots thudding across the deck, his coat snapping in the breeze like a flag, his voice unmistakable even from below. But now, not a sound. You catch yourself watching the shadows at the edge of the mainmast, where the sunlight doesn't quite reach. You imagine someone hiding there, or slipping away, or maybe just waiting. Someone brushes past you, close, too close. You feel the edge of a sleeve graze your wrist. You glance back, but they're already gone into the blur of motion and shouted commands. You don't recognize the scent left behind. Smoke, sweat, something unfamiliar, something foreign. You pull the rope tighter. Voices rise. The call goes out. All hands, aft deck. Captain wants all present. You wipe your hands on your shirt and fall in line with the others. Boots thump in unison. The deck tilts slightly as the wind picks up, snapping the sails like warnings. Overhead, a gull cries once and vanishes behind the rigging. The men gather slowly, forming a rough half-circle around the aft rail. You stand near the outer edge, close enough to hear, far enough not to be caught in anything sudden. The captain steps up onto the stairs. He's flanked by the quartermaster and the boatswain, both stone-faced. The captain looks worse than you remember, paler, thinner. His voice, though, still cuts through the air like a blade. "We've tracked a merchant vessel for 3 days," he says. "Fast one, low in the water, heavy with goods." A hum of interest moves through the crew. We'll catch her within 24 hours, he continues. But there's risk. She may be armed. We'll need full crew ready. He scans the faces. All shares doubled if we take her. You feel the tension shift. Men nod. Whispers buzz. But, the captain says, I've heard talk. Silence. Even the ship stops creaking for a moment. Talk of split loyalties, hidden dealings, discontent. He steps down a single stair. His boots hit the wood with a sound that seems louder than it should. Let me be clear. The next man to whisper against this crew, or take what isn't his, will be judged not by me, but by the sea. No one moves. A single cough breaks the silence. The captain turns. Quartermaster, he says. Sound the final bell. Let everyone hear. The quartermaster nods, vanishes behind the rail. Then someone shouts, Wait, where's Jory? Heads turn. Jory, tall, quick. Always the first to grin. Always with a coin tucked behind his ear. He's gone. No one saw him leave. No one heard him move. The captain's eyes narrow. Find him, he says. You scan the deck. Heart suddenly louder in your chest. The shadows under the rigging gape wide. The hatch to the hold hangs slightly open, like a mouth about to speak. You step back. You were just talking to him yesterday. He was laughing, sharing the last piece of dried fruit in the hold. He couldn't have, or could he? Because if he ran, it means something's already broken. And if he didn't run, where is he? What happens when someone vanishes without a splash? And who will they look to next when suspicion starts knocking again? You smell land before you see it. Not the fresh earth and rain scent you imagined, but something heavier. Smoke, sweat, brine, and the sour tang of fish left too long in the sun. The wind shifts, bringing in the warm reek of humanity from beyond the docks. You lean against the railing and watch the shoreline grow sharper. The crooked silhouette of rooftops, sails drying on lines, gulls circling above broken chimneys like they know something you don't. The ship eases into the harbour, groaning like an old drunk settling into a stool. Mooring lines fly. Voices shout. You disembark with the others, boots hitting the dock with a dull thud. The planks are sticky, spattered with fish scales and bits of seaweed, but your legs welcome the stillness beneath you. You follow the flow of bodies toward the port's narrow mouth, where salt-streaked doors swing wide to welcome the next shift of sailors. The tavern ahead leans so hard to one side, it looks like it's trying to whisper to its neighbor. Smoke curls out of the open windows. Someone laughs inside, loud, too loud, then crashes into a table, judging by the sound. You duck inside. The air hits you like a fist, thick, wet. It clings to your skin and coats your tongue. You taste spilled ale and singed fat. The scent of cheap wine, fried onions, and burning tallow pushes out the smell of sweat and sea, barely. The floorboards creak with every step, warped by rain, boots, and maybe blood. A dog limps past your ankle, tail twitching. You find a stool. It wobbles but holds. A barmaid slams down a chipped cup of something red. You nod your thanks, toss her a coin that vanishes into her sleeve without a word. The drink bites. It tastes like cherries and regret, strong enough to blur the week behind you. Voices rise and fall around you. A fiddler plays from the corner, his bow jerking like a fishing rod in stormy water. Men shout over cards, over dice, over who owed what when. Someone's singing in a dialect you don't know, but you catch the word gold more than once. You watch the others. One is already asleep on his arms, mouth slack. Another negotiates with a woman who has more rings than fingers. Someone's buying meat from a man with a box strapped to his chest. The cut's thin and slick with grease. Every moment here is movement, noise, transaction. The men spend fast. That's the pirate way. No savings, no plans. Just gold for now. They buy fresh clothes, cheap linen that'll fall apart before the next port. They gamble. They pay for company. They drink as if they're afraid tomorrow might not come. Maybe they're right. You step outside for air. The night is heavy, but cooler. The dock glows with lanterns swinging from ropes, painting puddles in long yellow streaks. A boy runs past you barefoot, chasing a rat with a stick. Someone whistles, another curses. And somewhere down the alley, a scuffle breaks out, shouts, the clatter of metal, a single sharp cry. You keep walking. Past closed stalls and shuttered windows, past a barrel that reeks of spoiled fish. You hear the creak of leather behind you, slow and measured. You turn. 2 men block the alley behind you. Their coats aren't sailors' coats. Too stiff, too clean. Their eyes narrow. One steps forward, and the metal glint at his belt confirms it. City watch. You smell the oil on his gloves and the faint stink of vinegar from a uniform cleaned too thoroughly. Out late for a merchant, he says, though your boots scream otherwise. His hand rests on the pommel of his blade. The second man circles behind you, quiet as a church door. He doesn't speak. You off a ship? The first one asks. Name of the vessel? You consider lying, but your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth. You glance back toward the tavern. Too far now. His voice sharpens. You look familiar. Do you? Or do they just want a reason? He takes a step closer. You see his fingers tighten. You reach for the paper tucked in your coat. A dock slip, a permit, anything that looks official. Your fingers brush linen. Then nothing. Gone. You blink. It was there, wasn't it? The second man speaks finally. You with the black gull. You freeze. That ship's not yours. But your captain once took a prize from it. If they think you're tied to her. The first man steps forward. Come with us. The street narrows. The night presses in. How do you convince a watchman that you're not the criminal he already decided you are? And what happens if he doesn't care either way? You don't remember how long you've been sitting in the corner, elbows on the sticky wood, boots resting on the rung of a stool that's too low to be comfortable. The tavern's hum has dulled your ears. The flicker of candlelight, caught in tankards and dull knives, dances like it's had too much to drink. You've almost forgotten about the watchman. Almost. The inn has filled out since you stepped outside. More sailors, more noise, and the smell, worse. It's grown thicker, layered with the ripe scent of unwashed coats and too many spilled drinks. There's a sour edge now, like cabbage left too long in the pot. You take another sip. It doesn't help. Then the door slams open. He stumbles in like a cannonball rolling free of its carriage. Arms wide, voice louder than reason. His coat's undone, stained across the chest with what might have once been soup or blood. His hair is soaked, flattened against his skull, and his eyes gleam with that unfocused shine born of too much drink and too little sleep. Thieves, he bellows, you lying sons of barnyard pigs. The fiddler stops. The air tenses, as if holding its breath. You freeze, halfway to another sip. He lurches toward a table in the center, where 3 men, locals, by the look of them, sit hunched over a hand of cards and a pile of copper. One stands slowly, his chair creaking back against the floor. We had a deal, the drunk slurs, stabbing the air with a finger. You said clean game. No one cheated you, the standing man says, voice flat. His hand rests on the hilt of something under the table. The drunk snarls. Then why's my purse empty? The standing man moves. Quick. He flips the table with one leg and grabs the drunk by the collar. Tankards and coins scatter. Someone shouts. A chair topples. The drunk swings, wild, clumsy, and clips the edge of the man's jaw. That's enough. Half the tavern seems to leap at once. You push back from your stool as the chaos swells around you. Boots slam against wood. Fists fly. A jug crashes into the wall beside your head, spraying stale ale down your sleeve. You duck as a body stumbles past, knocking over a bench. Screams rise. Someone is laughing. Someone is not. You move, sidestepping, weaving, trying to stay out of the fight, but not so far that you look afraid. That's its own kind of invitation. A man grabs your shoulder. You twist, wrench free, shove past a cluster of flailing arms and into the corner by the hearth. The flames throw long shadows that flicker over the faces of the men still at the edge of the brawl, hesitating, deciding whether to join or wait for it to end. You spot the innkeeper near the back, waving his arms. His mouth moves fast, but no one's listening. Then you see him, across the room. Not part of the fight, not drinking, just watching. A man in a sea blue coat, unmarked, clean. His arms crossed, his posture too still. His eyes don't flicker like the others. They lock onto you the moment yours meet his. He doesn't look away. You turn, pretend to scan the floor for dropped coins, for an excuse to move. But his stare burns. You feel it between your shoulders, in the nape of your neck. You try again to blend into the noise, the motion, the shouting. But it doesn't work. He's still watching. Why? You didn't say anything. You didn't touch anything. Unless it's not about now. Maybe it's about the ship. Or something you don't remember doing. Or something someone told him you did. You move toward the door, not running, not yet. Just enough to breathe something other than smoke and suspicion. You push outside into the night. The wind cools your face. The dock creaks nearby. Voices echo from alleys. The tavern still roars behind you, muffled. You glance over your shoulder. He's there, still watching, still not moving, not drunk, not random. You take a step down the street, then another. Footsteps behind you, one, then two. Measured, intentional. You speed up. The sound follows. Your heart begins to knock harder. Why follow you? Why now? And what exactly did he see that you didn't mean to show? What happens when the person watching already knows your name, but you've never seen his face before tonight? You don't notice how badly you smell until the wind shifts. Salt, sweat, damp wool, and something that's been stewing in your boots for at least a week. It all curls up from your clothes like smoke from a dying fire. You breathe through your mouth, but it doesn't help. The air clings to your teeth. Your shirt, once white, has settled into a permanent shade of ship grey, stiff in the arms, soft and sagging at the collar. You rub your shoulder where the fabric has worn thin. It scratches now, like an old bandage. Your trousers, canvas, patched and repatched, bag around your knees but squeeze at your waist. The belt barely holds. You've lost weight again. You run a hand through your hair. It crackles. You can feel the grit beneath your nails. Salt crust, dried sweat, particles of whatever blew through the lower deck during the last windstorm. You tug gently at a lock near your temple. It stays in place, curled stiff like waxed rope. Bathing, that's a luxury. Sometimes, when the rain pours hard enough and long enough, you stand shirtless on deck and call it good enough. The seawater's no friend, makes your skin itch, tightens every cut, but it's better than the sour smell of yourself after 10 days without a rinse. Below deck, there's a bucket, sometimes warm, mostly not. A rag and a bar of something that used to be soap, but now resembles wax dipped in ashes. If you're lucky, no one's used it to clean their boots first. Your skin itches in odd places, under your arms, behind your knees, along the small of your back. You scratch carefully, too hard, and you draw blood. Too soft, and it keeps burning. The others are the same. No one here smells like roses and fresh bread. They smell like rope, grease, fish, old rum, and the inside of their boots. You learn not to wrinkle your nose. It's considered impolite. And soft. One man near you, old Tom, missing 2 fingers and half a tooth, sleeps with garlic cloves in his shirt, says it keeps off the fever. Maybe it does. Or maybe it just makes you the last one anyone wants to sit next to. Your feet have blisters again. You peel off one boot and see the red ring where damp leather meets skin. It burns, but you pull it back on anyway. No time to air out, not now. You lift your sleeve. There, etched into your forearm, is the crude shape of a serpent, twisting up toward your elbow. You had it burned in with a sharpened nail and suet from the lantern. It stung like fire, but now it's yours. A mark, a story. The man who gave it to you had arms covered in ink, fish, daggers, stars, ships, every line earned. Some marked kills, others lost loves, a compass near his shoulder, a cross on his palm. He said it helped him remember where he came from, in case the sea ever tried to take it. Piercings too. You've seen gold rings in ears, in noses, even threaded through eyebrows, each one a claim, a memory, a warning. Some wear bone beads in their hair. Others braid strands of rope into their beards. You saw one man stitch a coin into the hem of his trousers so it would never leave him, even in the water. The ship's code doesn't say how you should look, but it matters. The filth, the marks, the weight of what you wear. You glance down again at your shirt, stiff from salt. A tear near the sleeve flutters with the breeze. You rub the sore at your ribs and wince. You remember the last time someone cleaned a wound on this ship. He took a knife, boiled it in rum, and bit down on a strip of sailcloth. The scream still echoes, though no one talks about it. He didn't die, but he didn't keep the hand either. There's no doctor here, only guesses. A burnt knife, a dirty rag, a stitched thread dipped in whatever liquor hasn't already been swallowed. You once saw a man clean a cut with seawater. He swore by it. Another used vinegar, then passed out. You keep a sliver of linen tucked in your pocket, clean as you can manage, just in case. Because when the next storm hits, or a blade slips, or your foot catches the wrong nail, you'll have to patch yourself back together. With what you have, with who you are, and with whoever's willing to hold your shoulder still while you scream. Is it true that a pirate had to be his own surgeon when things went wrong? Or did someone always answer the cry for help? You look down at your hands and almost don't recognize them. The skin is a patchwork of calluses, fresh cuts, and old scars. Fingertips cracked, palms tough as leather. There's a new slice across your knuckle, thin, red, still angry from the rope that bit too deep this morning. You flex your fingers. One sticks briefly before the salt-crusted blood lets go. Your nails are dirty, not just under the edges. Deep, dark streaks from weeks of tar, grease, fish oil, and whatever else crawled through the planks below deck. You rub your thumb across a sore near your wrist. It weeps a little, not much, just enough to remind you it's there. You shift your weight, leaning against the railing. The ship rocks gently beneath you, the boards groaning like tired bones. You close your eyes. The breeze, for once, isn't too sharp. It tastes of brine, but carries a softness, like distant land or a lull before rain. Then comes the thud. You jerk upright. It came from behind near the steps down to the hold. You turn, quick. Someone's on the ground. It's Bryn, short, wiry, too proud to sleep below deck. too clever to die by accident. But he's down, sprawled on his side, one leg twitching like a fish on sand. His eyes are wide, not with pain, with panic. You rush over. His face is pale. He tries to sit but winces. You follow his gaze. There, on his thigh, just above the boot, 2 puncture marks, dark, oozing, red-rimmed with something deeper. A rat bite, no doubt. You've seen them before, sharp, fast, deep. Rats run the ship like a second crew, darting through crates, scuttling behind barrels, fearless and many. Most bites don't fester, but some do. He grits his teeth. It's swelling, he mutters. Already. You kneel beside him. He's sweating now, breath short. You reach into your coat, fingers brushing against the small strip of cloth you keep hidden. Clean, dry, torn from your best shirt before it went to rags. You've saved it for something serious. Your hand, maybe, or your ribs, if that sore opens wider. Bryn sees it. His eyes lock on yours. He doesn't ask. He knows better. But you see the hope flicker there. Just once. You glance around. No one's watching. Not yet. You could keep it. No one would blame you. Everyone hoards what they can. Bread, thread, good nails, dry rope. Or you could give it. Risk infection yourself. Risk being unready. Bryn grimaces again. His fingers twitch toward the wound, then fall away. His lips are pale now. You pull the cloth halfway from your coat. Then stop. The air stills. The wind shifts. Your head snaps up. There, just past the edge of the sails. A sail, small, pale, angular. You squint. It's not one of yours. Not merchant. Not flagged. Too far for detail. But close enough for alarm. You hear boots behind you. Others have seen it. Voices rise. Ship, someone calls. Starboard side. You stand slowly. Bryn grabs your ankle. Weakly. You look down. Then back to the sail. It's coming fast. Or maybe you're standing still. Someone yells for the quartermaster. Orders follow. Load the swivel gun. Ready the deck. Bryn's breathing hard now. Sweat beads along his temple. His leg pulses, red and purple. You still hold the cloth. The wind lifts the edge of your coat. You make your choice. Or you wait. Because once you move, one way or the other, it's done. The ship closes in. Canvas snapping. Wood groaning. Bryn whispers your name. Do you spare what little you have to help a friend? Or hold it back, knowing you might need it more when the ship on the horizon finally reaches you? You see it before anyone says a word. A sail, white against the blue-grey morning, sharp on the horizon like a blade just unsheathed. You're the first to spot it. Just a flash between the swell and the mist. But it's enough. You blink twice, and it's closer. Then come the voices. Ship. 3 points to starboard. You feel the deck shift as men run to their posts, boots thudding against planks that suddenly feel too narrow. Your heartbeat ticks up. The air grows dense, thick with expectation. The captain appears, his voice low but clear. All hands, ready. You turn toward the mast. Sails are drawn in. Ropes creak. The wind bites harder now, pressing into your clothes, like it's trying to feel what you're hiding beneath them. The sea is no longer calm. Not in your mind. You reach for your belt. The blade is there, short, curved, clean only at the tip. You've oiled it twice this week, though it's old, notched near the hilt. You pull it free. It hums against the air, a sound you barely hear over the rising tension. Next comes the pistol. It's heavy, single shot, brass trimmed. You load it from your pouch, powder first, packed with your thumb. Balls set tight. Flint checked twice. The smell of black powder fills your nose. Sharp, metallic, hot, even before it's lit. You've smelled it in battle and in memory. It's unforgettable. You glance to your left. Others are arming too. One man straps an axe to his hip. Another swings a length of chain over his shoulder. The youngest among you, hands shaking, holds a boarding hook. He hasn't fought yet. You see it in his eyes. You pat your coat once more. A piece of hard tack, tucked away, just in case. The captain climbs to the quarterdeck. They're not flying colours, he says. Could be merchant, could be privateers, could be worse. You know what that means. No flag, no mercy. Your ship turns toward them. Wind catches the sail with a slap. The mainsail groans, pulling you forward. The ship rocks under your feet, not from waves, but from movement, muscle, and will. You hold to the railing, closer now. You can see the other hull, dark wood, low in the water, heavy, full, ripe. The order comes. Prepare to board. You move fast. Hands grip ropes, knives, powder, hooks. Cannon are checked. There are only two, and one misfires more often than not. The swivel gun is ready. You smell oil, wood smoke, sweat. Your mouth is dry. You swallow nothing. You feel the ship breathe with you, in rhythm now. You've done this before, but it never feels the same. Never smooth, never safe. Above, the lookout calls. 30 yards. The other ship's deck is a blur of shadows. You see movement, but no faces, no uniforms, just silhouettes. Then the captain's voice again. Steel ready. You draw your blade again. You feel your knees lock, then release. You hear the creak of grappling ropes, ready to fly. 20. Someone mutters a prayer. Someone else spits on the deck. You think of Bryn, still below, his leg torn open, unaware. Or maybe not. 10. The sea crashes between you and them, blue and white and roaring with intent. Your legs are braced, hands steady. You feel the ship shift again, deliberate, final. Fire. The swivel gun erupts with a snap crack louder than thunder. Smoke bursts outward, curling like a dragon's breath across the bow. The scent hits you instantly. Scorched powder, burning oil, splinters. You see someone fall on the other ship, or jump. Then the ropes fly, hooks land. You're pulled forward, closer, close enough to hear shouting in another tongue. And just before you leap, wonder. Not what lies beyond that railing, but what it does to a man. This moment, this edge, this breath before the fight. What exactly does a pirate feel when the gap between peace and violence is only one heartbeat wide? The moment your boots leave the deck, it all becomes noise. The crash of bodies, the snap of wood, the wail of rope pulling taut above your head, and then the scream, a high, sharp sound you can't place, maybe from someone you know, maybe from yourself. Your feet land hard on the enemy deck, slippery, tilted, stained already. The smell hits you next, burned powder, sweat, sour water, and the thick iron stink of fresh blood. It curls in your throat, forces you to breathe through your mouth. You swing your blade on instinct. Someone's already lunging toward you. A man in a torn waistcoat, eyes wide, teeth bared. You don't think. Just step sideways, feel the whoosh of air as his cutlass misses. You bring your arm around, drive the hilt of your blade into his ribs. He folds, gasping, and goes down hard. No time to check if he'll stay there. You duck. Another figure barrels past, friend or foe. You don't know. You just keep moving. The deck bucks under your boots like the sea itself is trying to throw you off. You find yourself near the mainmast. There's fighting all around, grappling, grunting, the dull smack of fists and the shriek of steel. You stab forward. It connects. A shoulder. Flesh. He falls. You don't look again. To your right, someone calls your name. You turn, just in time to see Jorah go down, hard. His back hits the deck first, then his head. His blade skitters across the planks. He's unarmed, wide-eyed, and pinned by a man twice his size. The attacker raises an axe. Jorah raises nothing. You step toward them, then hesitate, because just past the chaos, past the tangle of bodies and smoke, you see the lifeboat, still tied, still floating, still within reach. There are others already moving toward it. No one's won yet. No one's lost. But the tide is shifting. You feel it in your knees. You hear it in the sudden groan of timbers beneath you, deep, wounded, long. The ship is not steady. And then, a crack, louder than the rest. Not cannon, not blade, wood, splitting. Your head jerks up. Smoke rises from below deck. Too fast, too thick. Someone shouts. Not a command, a warning. You turn again. Jorah's attacker lifts the axe higher. You can reach him. You're close enough. But the lifeboat, it's closer. You grip your blade tighter. Feel the sweat in your palm. You step. Toward. Away. A barrel explodes near the mast. Flames lick the canvas sail above. The enemy crew is scattering now, shouting, falling back. But yours are still on board, still fighting, still bleeding. You crouch, knees aching, just as a splinter of wood flies past your head. It cuts your cheek. Warm blood drips past your jaw. You don't flinch, no time. Another groan from below. The floor trembles. Someone else screams. The hull's gone. You don't need a map to know what that means. This ship is going under. Fast. You grab the rail. Smoke is thicker now, clouding your eyes. You wipe your face with your sleeve. Blink hard. The lifeboat rocks beside the hull. Close. Jorah coughs. He's trying to move. He can't. Your legs ache. Your ribs burn. Your ears ring from the last shot fired. There's room in that boat. Maybe one more. But only if you run. Now you take one step. Then stop. Your blade is still in hand. Your blood is still warm. Your heart still choosing. Do you turn back for the man who once gave you bread when you had none? Or run for the lifeboat before the sea decides for you? You lie on your back beneath the stars, breath shallow, fingers still sticky from someone else's blood. The boards under your spine are cool, damp with night air and splinters. Somewhere above, the sail groans in the wind, tired, like everything else. You feel the sting at your cheek, salt, sweat or blood. You're not sure. It trickles slow, then dries. You close your eyes. The ship is quieter now. Fewer boots, fewer voices, more gaps between footfalls. You turn your head, and there, just past the mast, are 3 bundles wrapped in canvas, tied at the feet, weighted with stones. The shape of men still clings to the fabric. One is small, one is wide, one still drips. You swallow. No words are spoken, not yet. No bells, no prayers. But you hear it anyway, the whisper of a chant, low, from near the helm. You rise slowly. It's old Tom again, murmuring to a scrap of cloth tied round his wrist. He calls it his knot of breath. He says it carries the final breath of his brother, caught in linen the moment he died. Says it keeps the sea from stealing his name. You believe him tonight. You move toward the railing. Wind lashes your cheek. It bites deeper than usual. Your shirt flaps loose around your ribs, soaked from earlier spray. Your boots squelch when you shift your stance. You grip the rail and stare into blackness. No moon, no stars, only water and the distant glimmer of something that might be foam or firelight or your imagination. A sigh escapes your chest. Somewhere to your left, someone hums. It's a tune you've heard before. Something soft, wordless. A lullaby turned to mourning. You never asked who first brought it aboard, but now half the crew knows it. They hum when someone dies, or when they're afraid. A man behind you rattles bones in a tin cup. Dice? Number the finger bones of an old captain. He says they warn him when a storm is coming. You've seen him throw them on the deck. Read the way they fall. Once, he said 3 in a line meant death walks tonight. He was right. The deck beneath you creaks. And you remember something the quartermaster once said. The sea don't take you whole. It takes you in inches. A finger here, a brother there, a name, a face. You've already forgotten 2 names from today. You press your palms together, not in prayer, just for warmth. Your fingers are cold. The boatswain once carved a charm from bone, a whale's tooth. He wore it round his neck until it cracked. After that, he claimed he saw ghosts, pale women standing on the water, eyes like sails calling names. No one laughs at him anymore. Someone coughs behind you, wet, deep. You glance back, then down, at the sea, and wonder what it's like to fall without a splash. Burial at sea, they wrap you tight, tie a cannonball at your feet, say 1 line of nothing, then tip you over. No marker, no stone, just the sea. Some say if you don't speak a man's name again, he's lost, not just to life, to memory, forever. Others believe the sea keeps your voice, that it hums it back on foggy nights, just quiet enough to drive you mad. Your throat tightens. You think of home, whatever it meant. A roof, maybe. Bread still warm. A face with your eyes but older. You think of the 1 letter you never finished, the one tucked in oilcloth near your bunk. Then the wind shifts again, and you feel it. The presence, not a ghost, not a god, just the sea, watching, listening, waiting. You whisper under your breath, not a prayer but a trade. Let me see tomorrow. Let the others drift. Just not me. Not yet. What does a pirate fear more? The sea that buries him without a name, or the silence that comes when no one remembers it at all? You cling to the plank with both arms, your chest pressed flat against wet wood, knees hooked in habit, not hope. The sea rocks you slow, steady, like the breath of something enormous and unconcerned. Salt burns in your eyes. Your lips are cracked, swollen. Every wave slaps your ribs like a reminder. You're still here, still floating, still unwanted. It's dark, not nightfall dark, not storm dark. The kind of dark that lives in the deep parts of the world, where no lantern reaches and the stars refuse to look down. The kind of dark that feels thick, wet in your mouth, heavy behind your eyes. Your shirt is soaked, clinging like a second skin. Your arms tremble, not from effort, from cold. The kind that seeps in slowly, fingertip to bone, until even your thoughts shiver. You don't know how long you've been drifting. An hour, 3. Time is nothing here. Only the taste of your own breath and the ache behind your teeth. Then, a voice. Close. Too close. Ahoy. Just that. A single word. Carried soft on the water. Almost gentle. Your head jerks up. Nothing. Just black in every direction. You strain your ears. Salt crackles in one. A pause. Then again. Clearer. Lower. You alive? The voice isn't rushed. Not afraid. It drifts. Like you. You hesitate. You swallow. Then cough. Loud. Sudden. Raw. The kind of cough that makes you remember you have lungs. And pain. The water ripples near your hip. You shift, nearly losing your grip. Fingers scrape wet wood. Don't shout, the voice says. They might still be near. Who? You squint harder. A shape now, small, close. A second board maybe. Or a person, floating. One hand paddling, one arm resting. You blink. The shape leans forward. I saw you fall. You don't speak. The sea has stolen your voice. Or maybe you've hidden it too long. The shape moves closer. You from the goal? You nod. He nods back, as if that's enough. You see his face now, just a flicker. Moonlight maybe, or imagination. Too clean, too calm. You grip the plank tighter. He drifts closer still. Lucky you didn't go down with her, he murmurs. Lot of screaming. Your throat tightens. You try to pull your legs higher onto the board. It dips, wobbles, threatens to flip. The man raises a hand. Easy. You freeze. His fingers are long, empty. But you've seen empty hands kill. He glances past you. There's a current. If we paddle slow, we might reach something before dawn. You nod again. He begins to paddle. Lazy strokes, unhurried, but toward you. You look pale, he says. You don't answer. He smiles, just a little. I've seen ghosts paler than you. Then silence, long, uncomfortable. You shiver. Had a friend once, he says suddenly. Got picked up like this. Pulled him right out of the water, fed him, patched his cuts. You nod slowly. Your fingers ache. He slit our captain's throat 2 nights later. Your gut tightens. The man grins. But you wouldn't do that, right? He's close enough now to reach you. Close enough to tip your board. You shift again. He notices. Smart to keep distance, he says. Smart, but lonely. You glance behind. Nothing but water. Then far, far. A speck, a flicker, a shape. You narrow your eyes. A sail, not full, not close, but rising. You point. He turns. His eyes narrow. Could be hell, he mutters. Could be worse. The water rolls beneath you both. You trust me? He asks, suddenly calm. You open your mouth, but the sea answers first, with a wave that rocks your board, soaking your chest anew. The sail grows, white, torn. Too far to tell. And that voice beside you, still calm, still waiting. Do you let this man stay close, risking the knife behind the grin? Or push him away and face what's coming on your own? Even if it arrives wearing your enemy's flag, you wake to the sound of voices. Too many voices, too many tongues. It's not just your crew anymore. You sit up slow, ribs aching, hair stuck to your neck. The deck is cluttered with strangers, half wet, half armed, most loud. A floating camp of castaways, survivors, wanderers from every coastline you can name. One man wears a crimson sash over his shoulder, Spanish. You recognize the knife at his belt. Notched steel, wide-bladed, shaped for cutting more than rope. He mutters to himself in fast Andalusian. Words you don't catch, but tone you do. Prayer or threat, hard to say. Another near the mast leans on a musket twice his size. English, pale knuckles, jaw clenched like stone. He cleans the barrel without looking up. You know the type. Rules first, trust later. His coat stitched with patches from 3 different ships. A third squats near the railing, shelling a crab with one hand and drinking with the other. French, of course. His shirt is open, gold glinting at his throat. He hums a tavern song as if the sea weren't 5 inches from his boots. You rise slowly. No one stops you. The wind shifts. Smells float across the deck. Bitter tobacco from the Spaniard's pouch. Sharp rum from the Frenchman's tin cup. Something like dried fish and vinegar from the Englishman's pack. You wrinkle your nose. Different shores. Same hunger. You walk. Each knot of men has their own rhythm. The Spanish crew dice in silence, only breaking for sudden, barked curses. Mierda, cojones, or sometimes just the thud of fists on the table. The English talk low, deliberate. Their insults are precise, loud, gutter-born, or the ever-present whelp. Words like weapons, honed for sting. The French sing. They mock each other in rhyme. Their insults sound like flirtation until the blade appears. You pass a circle of men sharpening blades. A Spaniard sharpens in a straight, clean rhythm. Up, down, breathe, repeat. An Englishman oils each blade slowly, with care. The Frenchman beside him sharpens only the point. They don't trust each other. That's clear. but they're here, together. Why? You sit beside a barrel. They pass bread, flat, old, flaking, and share a bottle. The liquid burns your tongue. Molasses and rot. You cough. They laugh. You ask the Spaniard why he sails. He touches the medallion on his chest. Gold, he says, and revenge. The Englishman says nothing, but later you catch him reading a letter in the corner. Edges torn, corners smoothed from too many readings. The Frenchman tells you about a girl in Toulon who broke his heart and a merchant captain who broke his jaw. All water now, he says with a grin. They're not brothers, but they bleed the same. Later that night, a man tells a story. He's from the Caribbean. Skin dark, eyes sharp, voice slow as honey. He speaks of a storm, a captain lost, a promise made beneath a mast that split in two. Another joins him, Dutch by the sound, adds a tale of a prison break, a stolen map, a pact sealed in fire. You listen. It goes on like that. A Scot who fled the gallows, a Greek with no home port, an Irishman whose crew mutinied and left him for dead. Each has a reason. Each carries it like a scar beneath their shirt. Different flags, different names, different gods too. Some cross themselves. Some whisper to the sea. One man tucks fish bones in his boot, says it keeps the sharks away. You don't ask how he knows. They sleep in shifts now, side by side. Blades always within reach. The Frenchman snores. The Englishman doesn't. The Spaniard keeps watch. You lie back again. The stars look the same to all of them. You wonder, what makes a man leave home, take to sea, and trade his name for salt? Why would men from every corner of the earth, speaking different tongues and dreaming different dreams, all end up calling themselves pirates? You feel the shift beneath your boots before you see the sails. The boards don't creak like they should. Too clean, too taut. And the rope at your wrists, still damp with salt, bites deeper now with every sway of the deck. You've been on ships before, yours, theirs neither. But this one feels wrong in your bones. The men who pulled you aboard barely looked at you. Rough hands, fast knots, no questions. Your shirt was torn at the collar when they dragged you across the planks, and now it hangs open, stiff with dried seawater and ash. Someone laughed when you fell. Someone else spat near your face. Not at you, just close enough to remind you you're not one of them. You're made to scrub. With a bristle brush, against iron-banded barrels that reek of salted meat and sour pitch. The brush handle digs into your palm with each stroke. The salt burns your knuckles raw. You work in silence. The man behind you carries a whip, but doesn't use it. Yet. No one speaks your name. They call you driftwood. Fishbait. One calls you grey thing. The cook throws you crust from the galley. Chewed once, crusted twice. Too hard for teeth, too soft for pride. You eat them anyway. The hunger has no loyalty. It doesn't care what ship you're on. You try to listen. You catch scraps of language, Portuguese, maybe, some Castilian. One voice, deep and dry, speaks something older. You don't ask what it means. You sleep below, chained near the ballast. The dark there is soft, like cloth against your skin. It hums with the breath of other men, some asleep, some faking, some beyond pretending. They don't speak, but they feel. You sense it. Hope like mold, growing in places it shouldn't. One night, the guard above whispers through the grate. They'll dock by month's turn, he says to no one. The buyers want strong ones, or pretty ones. You stiffen. He spits down between the bars. And you understand, you're not cargo yet, but you're close. The next day, they let you topside again. The sun blinds you, stabs at your temples like tiny knives. The sweat beneath your shirt turns sour. You grip the rail for balance, not for beauty, not for air, just to stay upright. Someone passes behind you, a sailor, not large, not armed, but the way he looks at you, like meat left out too long, sours your stomach more than the cook's stew. You consider it then, the blade in the bucket, the hook near the rope pile. You could take him down, climb, leap, vanish, or not. Maybe they'd kill you fast, maybe not. The quartermaster watches from the helm, pale eyes, clean coat, a ring on his thumb that glints with each shift of his hand. He knows. He sees the thought before you move. You freeze. Later, when you're scrubbing near the stern, someone drops a hint. The last one who ran made it 3 days. They caught him halfway to the reef. You ask what happened. The man smiles. Now he rose. They laugh. You don't, but you listen. You count the oars. You map the layout. You remember how the ropes are knotted. You watch who eats when. One night, you fake sleep and count feet above. 12. One limps. One carries keys. The next morning, a boy you haven't seen before leans near you as you wash a barrel. They'll sell you, he whispers. 3 days from now. You keep scrubbing. He nods, then walks away. The rope at your wrist is looser than yesterday. Maybe. Or maybe you're imagining it. You return to your post, head low. The salt stings your eyes. You taste fear on your tongue, bitter and coppery. The quartermaster calls someone to the helm. You catch one word. Bahia, and another. Market. Your chest tightens. The sea groans below. The sky stretches grey. You glance left. The blade's still there, half buried in the rope pile. Not sharp, but enough. You count your steps again and wonder, will you rise tonight, strike, and take your fate in bloodied hands? Or wait and risk being chained like cargo beneath a foreign dock? You smell the gallows before you see it. That thick, bitter scent. Tar and timber and old rope, not fresh rope. Number. The kind that's soaked in sun and fear, reused more times than you care to count. It hangs from the frame above the square, like a crooked question mark, already darkened by use. You stand in the crowd, not as a man, as evidence. Your wrists are bound behind you with rough hemp. The fibers dig deep. You've lost count of the hours since they dragged you from the ship. Shackles now circle your ankles like iron smiles. Every step clinks with judgment. They march you past the gates. Old stone, black with soot. A courthouse built to echo. Everything you say inside will sound twice as loud, and twice as damning. You pass windows barred with iron. Some faces peer through. Boys, women, men with missing teeth and missing names. You look away. You don't want to see your reflection in their stares. They sit you down on a wooden bench. Not tied. No need. The guards behind you wear red, stiff and sober. Their eyes don't blink. The air inside the hall is colder than the sea ever was. The judge enters. A wig, powdered white. Wrinkles like tide marks. His voice scrapes like sand on a low hull. State your name. You hesitate. They already know. He nods. Write something. Then the questions begin. Not questions. Accusations. You were aboard the St. Miriam when she was taken. You were seen with a blade in hand. You profited from stolen goods. You answer when told. Sometimes you lie, sometimes not. It doesn't matter. They have witnesses. One is a boy you once shared a loaf with. He stutters now, avoids your eyes. Another is a sailor who ran when the guns began. He remembers things you don't, or never did. They read aloud a list of items. Barrels of sugar, bolts of cloth. A Bible with the governor's seal. Your stomach turns not at the theft, but at the way they say it, like it's heavier than the dead. You sit quiet. The The crowd behind you murmurs. Some spit. One cheers when the word gallows is spoken. The judge asks what you do differently. You say nothing. Because what could you say? That you needed the coin? That the Navy beat you first? That your captain promised freedom and gave you fear? The judge sighs. The sentence is simple. Hanging. At dawn, you are marched out again. Chains clatter. Birds scatter above the square. You are held in a cell beneath the courthouse. Earth floor. Dripping walls. The smell of men who died waiting. Someone nearby sings. Software off-key. You press your back to the stone. The coal seeps fast. A rat scurries past your boot. You don't move. That night, the chaplain visits. He asks your name, your real one. You don't give it. He offers a prayer. You take it. Not for your soul, for the silence. You dream of salt, of planks, of sails, of the wind before a storm. The next morning, the door opens. The rope waits. It creaks when the wind shifts. The crowd gathers again. Same faces, new sneers. You are walked to the platform, step by step. 1 foot drags. Your knees shake. Not from fear, from memory. You see the ships beyond the harbour, white sails, clean decks. You wonder, had you jumped ship 5 years ago, taken a place on a whaler or a fisher's crew? Would you have been here anyway? Would they ever have let you live honest? The noose is lowered, rough. It smells of the last man who wore it. The sun warms your cheek, and you wonder, was there ever really a path where you sailed free without blood? Or was the law always just another storm on the horizon? You run, not with strength, with memory. Your knees still ache from the gallows platform. Your wrists burn where rope once bit. But you run anyway, barefoot, breath raw, eyes stinging from the smoke they lit to, calm the crowd. The alley swallows you, narrow, filthy, alive with rats and echoes. Your shoulder grazes brick slick with mildew. Your elbow strikes a crate that smells of onions and piss. You don't stop. You don't look back. A shout, far behind. Another to the left. Footsteps multiply. You dart right. A dog barks, then lunges. You hear its claws scrape cobblestone. Teeth snap on air. A chain jerks it back. You keep running. Your shirt tears against a nail. Cold wind finds the wound. You duck beneath a sign with a painted boot. Bootmakers, shuttered. You slip behind barrels. Pause. Listen. Your breath sounds too loud. You press a hand over your mouth. Sweat trickles into your collar. Your back slides down the stone until you crouch. You see your bare toes bloody at the nails. A memory flickers. Warm water once. A basin, someone humming. Gone now. You hear them. Guards. Boots scrape. Metal clinks. Voices. One swears. One laughs. You press yourself deeper into the shadows. A rat scurries past. They pass. You wait. Then move again. The harbour's not far. You smell it. Salt, fish, old wine. The tang of rope and tar. The wind carries voices in 3 languages. You move faster now. Stick to walls. Step over refuse. Avoid eyes. Your fingers tremble as you pull your coat tighter. It's not yours. You grabbed it off a peg behind the courthouse. Too large, smells of pipe smoke, but warm. You round a corner. Light spills from a brothel. Red lanterns sway in the breeze. Laughter leaks from inside, drunken, warm, oblivious. A man stumbles out, adjusting his breeches, humming a tune that never had a name. They wouldn't look for you there. You pause. A moment. The door creaks. A woman leans out. Older. Paint on her cheeks. Her eyes meet yours. She sees too much. Then she nods. Subtle. Once. The door stays open. A haven. Maybe. You hesitate. Then hear a whistle. Not far. Closer. Behind. You bolt. Past the brothel. Down the steps. Toward the docks. Your lungs burn. Your foot slips on fish guts. You steady yourself against a beam, and then you see it. Your ship, the one you came here on, the one that smelled like cedar and sour bread, the one with the red scarf tied to the mast. She's leaving. Her sails rise, pale in moonlight. Her hull rocks, slow and indifferent. Men move on her deck. You think you see a familiar shape at the helm. The cook, the lookout. Too far. You raise your arm. Call out. No voice comes. Just breathe. The tide shifts. The dock creaks. You run. Down the planks. They tilt. Wobble. Your foot catches on rope. You stumble. Regain balance. The ship pulls away. A rope ladder swings. Too far. You leap. Your hand grazes rope. Misses. You fall to your knees. The dock bites. You watch the ship drift. 5 yards. 10. 15. Too far now. A bell rings behind you. Too close. You turn. Do you dive into the black harbour and chase the ship through the cold? Or vanish again into the city's underbelly before the dogs catch your scent? You sit on the creaking edge of the dock, legs dangling over the black water that swallows the moonlight whole. The salty breeze brushes past your face, cold but familiar, like the touch of a distant memory. Somewhere deep inside, past the grit and grime of a pirate's life, something stirs. A longing, a softness that the sea tries to wash away but never quite manages. You close your eyes and drift. Not on the ocean this time, but back home. Imagine the scent of fresh bread, warm and yeasty, rolling from a small kitchen in the village where you grew up. The smell curls into your mind, wrapping around your senses like a tender hug. You can almost hear the crackling of the hearth fire, the gentle murmur of voices, the clatter of wooden spoons against bowls. It's a world away from the harsh creak of timbers beneath your feet, from the damp salt that clings to your skin, and the sharp tang of gunpowder in the air. You think of your mother, her hands rough from years of labour, but soft when she held you, the way her laughter echoed like sunlight through the narrow streets. You think of your father, standing tall and silent by the fields, eyes clouded with worries you were too young to understand. The small brothers and sisters you left behind, chasing dreams they don't yet know the cost of. You wonder if they remember you. Some nights, when the stars hang low and bright, the men in your crew write letters. They fold thin sheets of parchment, dip quills in ink, and scratch out words full of hope and regret. Sometimes the ink smudges with trembling hands. Sometimes the words are clipped, sharp, hardened by years of salt and sorrow. You carry a letter too, tucked beneath your shirt, hidden from prying eyes. It's faded and frayed at the edges. You haven't finished it. The words stick in your throat, weighed down by what you've seen and done, what you still dream of. The warmth of that memory is almost unbearable. You feel the cold seep back into your bones, reminding you where you are. The endless sea, the endless fight, the endless search for gold that promises freedom but demands sacrifice. You wonder what you gave up. Was it the smell of fresh bread, the laughter of children, the touch of a loved one's hand? You touch your chest, where a small wooden charm hangs, carved by a shipmate years ago, said to carry the essence of home. You clutch it tightly, feeling its rough edges against your skin. Some say pirates have no homes, that they live between storms and shadows, that gold is their only family. You shake your head. You know better. You've seen men crumble, their hearts breaking in the silence between battles. You've heard whispers of home in drunken songs sung under the moon. You've watched as a mate held a faded portrait, tracing the smile with a calloused finger. Tonight, the sea feels different, quieter, like it's holding its breath. You breathe in deep. The scent of bread fades. but the memory lingers. You look up at the sky, the stars blurred by salt spray. You wonder, what is a pirate without dreams, without the hope of return? And what price is too high to pay for the chance to see home again? You sit by the fire on the beach, the warm glow casting flickering shadows on the sand. The scent of burning driftwood mingles with the salty sea air, wrapping around you like a fragile cloak of comfort. Waves lap softly at the shore, their steady rhythm a soothing backdrop to the old boatsman's gravelly voice. His stories float in the night, stories of storms weathered, battles fought, and comrades lost to the unforgiving sea. You listen, drawn in by the rough poetry of his words, the crackle of the flames punctuating every pause. His face is weathered, carved by years spent battling wind and tide, but his eyes carry a flicker of kindness, a spark of memories you both share. You feel the coarse sand beneath your fingers, still damp from the tide. The fire's warmth seeps into your bones, yet a cold shiver runs down your spine as his voice turns quieter, more cautious. The talk drifts to betrayal, how even the closest companions can become enemies, how trust is as precious and fragile as a glass bottle bobbing in the ocean. You glance around. The faces near the fire are shadowed, each lost in their own thoughts. You wonder who among them holds secrets as heavy as yours, who has carried the weight of lies and lost friendships. Your mind flickers to those you've loved and lost. The laughter you once knew, now drowned by the roar of cannon fire. The handshakes that turn to knives. The promises broken like splintered wood. You debate, should you speak your own truth tonight? Share the fears and scars etched deep into your soul, or hold them tight, locked away like the treasure you're sworn to protect. The boatsman's gaze meets yours briefly, his voice softening. Sometimes it's safer to keep the storm inside, mate. You nod, but the urge to unburden yourself gnaws at you like the cold sea biting at the shore. Suddenly, the quiet night is pierced by a faint splash. Heads turn toward the water. From the darkness, a small boat glides silently toward the beach, its occupants cloaked in shadow. Your heart tightens. Who comes in the night? Friend or foe? The fire crackles, the waves whisper. Your hand tightens around your knife, and you wonder, should you stand and face whatever comes, or vanish like smoke into the night? You stand just beyond the firelight, the warm glow fading behind you as the shadows lengthen. The stranger's boat glides silently through the dark water, the paddles making only soft ripples against the still night. Your breath hangs heavy in the cool air, mixing with the faint scent of brine and wood smoke. The crackling fire fades into a low murmur, replaced by the gentle slap of waves and the occasional cry of a distant gull. Your heart races, not from the chase but from the unknown. Who are they, friend or foe? The men aboard carry shapes, but no faces. Cloaked in mystery, they approach the shore with slow, deliberate stealth. You watch as one figure slips from the boat, wading toward the beach, water dripping from worn boots. You weigh your options. You could retreat into the shadows of the alleyways, vanish into the maze of the town's crooked streets, or you could face this unknown threat, perhaps find allies where you least expect them. Your fingers brush the hilt of your dagger, the cold steel grounding you in this moment. The figure pauses, glances toward the firelight, then disappears briefly behind a cluster of rocks. A tense silence settles over the beach. Your muscles coil, ready to spring, to fight, to flee. But then, unexpectedly, a voice low and familiar cuts through the night. Easy, friend. We mean no harm. Your body relaxes just a fraction, but your mind races. How well do you know these strangers? You think back to the creaking planks of your ship, the harsh wind whipping across the sails, the whispered rumors of mutiny and betrayal. You know better than most that trust is a currency more precious and rarer than any gold coin. The stranger steps into the firelight, revealing the worn face of a man you recognize. A former mate, thought lost to the sea. His eyes are wary but earnest. He speaks quickly, words tumbling out like the waves that have carried you both through storms and bloodshed. There's talk. The Navy's closing in. Your name's been called. You won't find safety here for long. You feel the weight of his warning settle deep in your chest. The fire flickers. A dog barks again in the distance. Your gaze drifts back toward the water, where the boat waits patiently, silent as the grave. You consider the choice laid before you. Stay and risk capture, or disappear into the night, leaving behind everything familiar. The night wraps around you like a cloak, heavy with the scent of salt and smoke, thick with uncertainty. And you wonder, who do you trust when all who walk the decks have secrets darker than the ocean's depths? You're crouched low in the dimness of a cavern, the damp stone walls slick with moisture that drips slowly to the uneven floor below. The heavy scent of earth and salt clings to the air, mixing with the faint mustiness of forgotten years. Your hands are sticky with grime as you sift through the scattered coins and trinkets strewn about. A pirate's forgotten hoard, gleaming faintly in the flickering light of your lantern. Around you, the murmurs of your crew rise and fall, voices tight with greed and suspicion. You can feel their eyes on the treasure, and on each other. The air is thick with tension, sweat, and the taste of salt from the sea outside. You hear the scrape of boots against rock as others edge closer, fingers twitching for a share. You grip a heavy coin in your palm, its cold weight anchoring you to this moment. You wonder, is this all worth the risk? The stories say this stash could set you up for life, but what about the dangers buried in the shadows? A sudden murmur of alarm breaks the uneasy calm. Water, cold, dark, begins to seep from cracks high on the cavern walls. The damp floor beneath your knees becomes slick, and the steady drip turns to a rising murmur. Someone shouts, voice urgent and raw. The tide's coming in. We don't have much time. You glance around, panic flickering in the faces of your crew. You feel the water creeping higher, chilling your soaked clothes and the dirt beneath your knees. The soft rush soon becomes a torrent, swallowing smaller pools of air, closing in fast. You scramble toward the cavern's narrow exit, heart pounding louder than the roar of the incoming flood. Your breath comes in sharp bursts as you dodge fallen stones and reach for handholds slick with moss. Behind you, voices cry out, calls of warning and desperation. You hesitate, torn between grabbing more treasure and saving yourself. The choice is clear but brutal. Do you risk everything to carry as much gold as you can? Or do you abandon the hoard to the rising waters, escaping with only your life? The cavern groans as water floods the lower passage, and you realize there is only one way out. But will it be enough to save you all? You sit alone on the deck, the night sky a vast, star-studded blanket stretched above you. The waves whisper their eternal lullaby, gentle but insistent, as the salty breeze brushes your weathered face. Your hands, once strong and steady in battle, now rest quietly on your knees, worn from years of toil and storms. The rhythmic creak of the ship and the soft sigh of the sea mingle with your thoughts, carrying you back through the years. What became of you? Did you remain a pirate, fierce and unyielding, chasing the horizon and treasure with the same fiery passion? Or did you meet your fate with sword in hand, a hero swallowed by the unforgiving waves. Perhaps, like many before you, you return to the shores of your youth, seeking solace in the familiar smell of home, the warmth of hearth and kin. The life of a pirate was never simple or sure. The tales of Blackbeard, Sir Francis Drake, and Anne Bonny linger as echoes in history, lives painted with adventure, tragedy, and legend. These were people who danced on the edge of society, embracing freedom and risk in equal measure. Some perished violently, others faded quietly into obscurity, and a few slipped back into normalcy, forever marked by the sea. Your memories drift to moments of triumph and loss, laughter shared under endless skies, and the sting of comrades lost to the merciless ocean or the hangman's noose. The gold and jewels glittered bright but came at a steep price, a price paid with blood, fear, and the ever-present shadow of death. You gaze up, tracing constellations that guided your voyages. The North Star steadfast above, a beacon in both calm and tempest. The sea's eternal rhythm pulses beneath you, a soothing, constant presence that has carried you through storms, literal and figurative. As the wind hums softly, you feel a quiet peace settle over you. The life of a pirate was wild, raw, and fleeting, yet it was yours. Every scar, every stolen moment of freedom etched into your soul. Now, beneath these stars, you wonder quietly, was it worth it? The treasures, the battles, the betrayals, and the fleeting joys. Was it worth the price you paid and the life you led? The waves lap gently against the hull. The night whispers your answer. Whatever your path, the sea has claimed you as one of its own. A soul forever adrift between legend and reality. And with that thought, you close your eyes, rocked by the lullaby of the ocean, surrendering to the night's embrace.